Hello and welcome. Today we are doing a little bit different of a deck. We are rebuilding my Ezuri Claw of Progress deck. And this is one of my oldest commanders that I still have intact. As you can see, it's from Commander 2015. I got it as the precon and really didn't do too much with it except for whenever a small creature was released and it did this cool thing, I added it to the deck. And apparently I added some different things. I don't know if this is relatable, but I did not remember putting 3 extra lands in this deck. Perhaps it was because of the precon that had more lands, but I don't know how they got in there. Usually I think people put in too few lands, but I put in a little bit too many. I thought this was interesting because I was going to rebuild this anyway, and it might be interesting to see what my progress is. So let me show you what I usually use. This is the way that you can search for creatures or any type of cards in Scryfall or through Scryfall. Usually what I would just do is put sorted by on release date and then put in that I wanted a certain type of color for my commander. I wanted it to be in paper because otherwise I can't play the card. The power had to be less than 3, meaning 1, 2 or 0. It had to be legal in commander and the rarity had to be mythic. You can also go for rare cards. Those are also often good, but I was a little bit too lazy for this deck to go anywhere beyond this. So I'd go through here. I'd say, Uroboros goes very well on the deck. I'll put it in. That's it. So to explain, Ezuri, the Claw of Progress, is a commander that uses experience counters, which is a type of counter that doesn't go away ever, really. It increases whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control. That is why I was looking for creatures that have a lesser amount of power. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put X plus 1 counters on another target creature, where X is the amount of experience counters you have. So the game plan is to play a bunch of small creatures and then have that experience counter go up. And then at the beginning of combat, you will make one creature very, very big. And then through other effects, you want to make your other creatures be impactful. Thing is, you want to look for creatures that do something else. So for example, just a 2/2 wouldn't be good enough in Commander. So for the stats, you will almost never do it. But let's look at I Still Explorer, for example, because it is a 4 mana creature that says you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and you may then play lands from your graveyard, and then landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you mill a card. That means you can ramp, so that could be good. So I will put that in a maybe pile, and for that I use Architect. Always have used it. So I'll put it in. I will look for the card, and then you can either do this or you can just click on it and then click M and it will go in your maybe board, and we will look at that later. That's how I would add new cards, usually. But looking at the deck, we see many problems, to be honest. There are multiple things here that don't really work. One is we have, for example, Beastmaster Ascension, which doesn't really work with the deck at all. It was once in this and it helped me win 1 or 2 games, but that's just because I play this deck very often. So it just gives your creatures +5/+5 if you do something else. It just isn't that good in this deck because your creatures are already way too big. The concept here is that you would have a bunch of small creatures, but in reality you are mostly looking for creatures that do something else too. Let's look at some other problems here. We have board wipes. I usually put in 2 or 5 nowadays, but I only have 2 in this deck. So that really isn't enough, not nearly. We need at least 3 more. And the thing is, the board wipes that are in here, Coastal Breach is just returning all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So it's way worse than Cyclonic Rift. And then there's Bane of Progress, which destroys all artifacts, and enchantments, which is sort of a board wipe. And it's still good because it's on a 2-powered creature. But still, that's not really it. We need some more stuff against a bunch of creatures that are strong from our opponents. For card draw, we have a bunch, but I think all of it works only sometimes. So Bident of Vassa only works when you do combat damage to a player, so it needs something else. Cold-Eyed Selkie only works when it deals combat damage to a player. Curse of Verbosity only draws a card whenever enchanted player is attacked. Elvish Visionary is one that does draw you a card, but that's just one card. So yeah, you just need to do a bunch of other stuff or have a bunch of other stuff in order to draw cards, and it will take you a bit too much time. So we will be looking for more cards that draw you more cards instantly. We have some counter creators. This is of course what Ezuri does, so you need less of them, but 3 isn't enough, and Master Biomancer doesn't really work the way I wanted to. Honestly, I make mistakes often. It says each other creature you control enters the battlefield with a number of additional +1 counters on it equal to its power and is a mutant. We don't care about the last part, but the thing here is that when something enters with a bunch of +1 counters on them, they will enter and be stronger. So I think this is still needed. It really helps the deck forward right now. But cards that work against Ezuri's enter the battlefield effect will make you stop putting new +1 or new experience counters on there. So that is a problem, but it still is needed to have something that works when Ezuri is not around, because Ezuri doesn't have any protection on its own. And so I often have the case where we don't have Ezuri, so we don't have anything. And we don't want that. For ramp, I think we have enough, but again, it is mostly on creatures and much of it isn't that good. Like we have Sky Diamond here, while we are in green, and we should just be running a bunch of things that get us lands, to be honest. Thing is, we have a bunch of small creatures, 39 of them make tokens or are a small creature. But, well, that's a bit too much, honestly. It can be done, but you don't need to have all small creatures. Thing is, you need to be a little bit strategic with Ezuri, because you need to have your commander out before you start playing those small creatures. I want some more stuff in here that I can do proactively before Ezuri enters the battlefield. Could be ramp, of course, but preferably we do something that furthers the game plan before turn 4 or 3. Something else is counter synergy. These are cards that work well with counters, but they don't put counters on other creatures before there are already counters on them. So proliferate works, but only once the counters are already on there. For example, so this is good, but I think if you have 10 cards that use that have counter synergy, you want to have 30 cards that make counters. That's sort of my rule of thumb that I like to use. Don't have any data for that. And removal we need more too. We need at least 4 more, and many of the removal just works, for example, for artifacts and enchantments, which is something that green loves to do. But we need a bit more general removal. And then for protection, I think we do have a bunch, but some of it just works for creatures that have +1 counters on them, like giving them ward 1, for example, or Inspiring Call that will give the creatures with +1 counters on them indestructible until end of turn. But that means that it doesn't protect Ezuri. So we need a bit more of protection that we can use for Ezuri, and we need more ways to put +1 counters on Ezuri. Where the balance lies, I don't know until I have played it. So let's just start looking at the cards now that we know what the problems are. So first of all, I want to look at the new cards that have less power. We can put them in the maybe board, and then we can check whether they can be good in this deck. Ouroboros, I think is really good. So we'll put in Ouroboros. Ouroboros. It's expensive. I can see that already. So it needs to be a bit of a choice because well, I'm going to buy it. Then I think this one doesn't enter like a small creature. This one doesn't either, I think. Tidus, personal. Well, oh wait, that's Thrashio's Triton Hero. I think is good, but is expensive because of CEDH. Yeah, I think it's more expensive because of CEDH. Copying target activated or triggered ability X times. Does that work with Ezuri? Well, a little bit, I think, but also no, because you could just play more creatures, is what I think. Maybe it's good, but don't really feel it. And that's something that you need to do for deck building if you're upgrading a deck for your own. Just look at what you find fun. For example, I wouldn't play Sandy Cheeks in my deck, personally. Could go with Toski, and Toski I think is already in there. But I wouldn't play it if it was just Sandy Cheeks. Personally. Flurry, we don't really work with playing a bunch of cards, so no, that's not it. And I think there was one more maybe in here that could be good. I don't want more creature stuff for mana, but Simone could be good as well. So Simone, we will put in the maybe board 2. Simone will, at the beginning of your combat, put a +1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, at least putting 1 counter on Ezuri, which I like, and also could double the amount of each kind of counter on up to 2 target creatures, sort of doubling the way Ezuri doubled your power for other creatures. So I like Simone here in this deck. Could be one of the cards that can replace Ezuri when he's not around. Now, other things we will need are, for example, board wipes. So board wipes are a bit hard to find in Simic. So looking at exiling all creatures in our colors, we have a few things, but most of them aren't really board wipes. Only 2 board wipes I see here are Oversimplify. Oversimplify I think is really good. Exiling all creatures, and then each player creates a token that will be as big as the total power of creatures they control that were exiled this way. Of course, we will often be exiling a bunch of power from our side, so we will have the biggest token, but we aren't really looking for that. It's only 10 cents. People really don't like this one, apparently, but I want to try it because I need more board wipes. And the other one is Aligned Hydra Network. That works a little bit against Ezuri's deck, because it will exile all creatures with power 5 or greater, and usually our creatures that we care about will have more power. Destroy All is the other side of Exile All. We could look at that. Usually when I am not just looking at the newest ones, I sort by EDH rank. This is a little bit like using EDH rec. But well, I need something that says how good the card is, otherwise I will be scrolling through too many cards while deck building. We have Bane of Progress, we already have that. Nevinyrral's Disc, I don't really like. I'm not sure why there's still a white card in here. Maybe it's because it's a land too or something. Season of Gathering will put a +1 counter on a creature. That's just 1 to 5 creatures. And will be a board wipe for artifacts or enchantments. This is still good. I'm not against board wipes that do this. And could draw us cards equal to the greatest power among creatures we control. That will allow us to draw a bunch of cards too. So depending on what we need, I think this could be a good card. It is overcosted for a board wipe, but it could do multiple things. And sometimes having a card that does multiple things can be really good to have. I think it should be an option. I'm not really sure whether we will actually play it. Fate from History I think is already personally better, because you make people create a token first, so you already get that 2/2 triggering Ezuri. And then you destroy all artifacts and enchantments. So works against artifacts and enchantments again, but could be an option, and I would prefer to play this over Season of Gathering, personally. So we'll put this in the maybe board too. Maybe this is not the fastest way to do it, but I like to do this. If you see something and you're screaming at your screen, by the way, that I should add, tell me in the comments, because I can't hear you screaming, believe it or not. I think why is this so low? I mean, I'm not often agreeing with the things EDH tracks say, because it's just a community thing, I think. If many people like it, it gets put up higher. But here you can phase out 1 or 2 permanents. You could also phase out permanents from your opponents, but that will protect them against the board wipe, so it's many choices you need to make. But still, it is a board wipe. It will take you a bunch of turns, but I think it's better than Ephemeral's Disc, because enchantments usually are a bit harder to remove than artifacts. In my experience, at least. So I will put this as a maybe. And otherwise still you can use it to phase out some of your cards. So that could be good. We will think about it. And I think we don't really need to look further here. I don't think so. Then we have something that is better in blue, at least. Returning all creatures. I think most of the board wipes we get will need to come from here. And then we will put this on EDH rank. I'm not really sure whether I searched right, but Rift's Rebuke at least is something that is nice. It's 6 mana, but it does work against a target player. So you can at least remove everything from one player and not removing it from yourself. Is a good thing. We'll put that in the maybe board. Devastation Tide, I think, is not synergistic enough here. Because it works with all non-land permanents again. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hand. You may put 1 maybe on the battlefield. That helps a bit, but I'm not really sure if I would play that. You can see how Coastal Breach is lower up here, down here. Choose a non-land permanent, return all other ones. That is sort of good because you can maybe pick 1 strong card that you like, but still you let your opponents choose 2. So not really into this too much. And then I'm wondering what Cyclonic Rift is like. So I'll look at that. Cyclonic Rift. It is return. Oh, it's return target non-land permanent, but then overload. Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure how you'd look for that in Scryfall, to be honest, but there might be a way. Oh, that's not the one. Is there a way to say add card to maybe board? Yeah, oh, that's better. So it will immediately go in our maybe board. That's better. Yeah. Okay. And then we have maybe return a few targets. Could be good for a sort of board wipe. And then I have one other one in my mind. So maybe like Aether Gale we could put in. 5 mana to return 6 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. So at least it's targeted, which is better, of course. And then, what was it? Curse of the Swine. I'm not really sure. Yeah. So it's exile X target creatures, and then for each creature exiled this way, its controller creates a 2/2. I like this. Personally, it sort of could be used as a removal for 3 if you want it to be. And then otherwise you can increase the X to remove more creatures. So I think I like this too. And then is there a way to look for this? I always do this if I think of another card. Maybe like X target. So you would say O to look for, I think, Oracle or something. And then color is less than or is blue or green. Game will be paper. And I don't think XLX target artifacts and or creatures. Return them. No, that's not what we want. XLX target creature cards from your graveyard. And that's also not what we want to do. Alright, so that was it for board wipes, I think. Will we have enough? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We will definitely have enough. So this is in the maybe board. And then when we start actually building, we would need to get them out and then put the new cards in. But honestly, I don't think I will do that today, because usually I just keep cards in my maybe board and then think about whether it's good to switch them when I start buying them. And how I will do this is that right now it's sorted by alphabet, but I will honestly for myself go price usually, and then see price descending, and then we'll see which ones are cheapest. I like to oversimplify, so probably I will put that in. Aethergale I think is better than what I have right now. This one I wasn't really sure about. Curse of the Swine I really like, so that's already 3. So that's basically all we need for board wipes. Then on to the next part, which is removal. So we don't have enough removal that is, well, let's say specific enough or unspecific enough. So we have a bunch that just works with destroying a certain thing, like just destroying artifacts. So rapid hybridization, I think we have already. Yeah. Again, not really sure why these land cards pop up in here when you say colors less than or is blue and green, but it is. Let's see. Polymorph destroys a creature, and they. Oh yeah, I think there are better ways to do this with exiling a creature. When I look at this, I don't really see much that I would want. So let's look at exiling. I think there's a bunch of better options here. Reality shift, I really like. Do we have that? No. So reality shift should go in there. Reality shift. That's 1. And then, let's see. What's this? Pioneer. Exile target creature with power toughness 1 or less. Okay. That's not really specific enough. Suspend. Exile target creature with put 2 time counters on it. So it will be delayed. But is that good? Taking 2 turns and then it will return. I'm not really sure. Will take 2 turns, by the way. You put 2 counters on it. So at the first upkeep. So yeah, 2 upkeeps. Well, I don't really think that is good, personally. There isn't really much, is there? to add. Maybe that's an answer too, where there isn't really much. What if we say exile target or destroy target and just keep it at that? Then we will get exiling a graveyard, exiling creatures of our own, graveyard. Doesn't seem too good. What if we say destroy? Maybe that's the thing. Well, artifacts, enchantments. Maybe there just isn't. Fighting a creature. Fighting a creature could work. That's actually interesting. Yeah, I want to kind of look at that. Fight. Does fighting a creature work? Well, maybe kind of, because we usually have a bunch of big creatures. So this could work. Ezuri's Predation, I think, is a famous one for board wipes as well, right? For each creature Create a 4/4. Each of those tokens fights a different one of those creatures. Kind of, but it's 8 mana. Why? Wow, it's really high. Fighting really isn't that good, is it? Or is this just really good? 8 mana though. It works really well against small creatures. It might win you the game in that case. But it's 8 mana, so that should immediately win you the game in my opinion. Same kind of with 6 mana, should be a bit more impactful than just fighting one creature, or maybe even destroying one creature, destroying one enchantment and destroying one artifact, you know? So, but maybe it works in certain types of decks. That could be the case. Maybe this one, I think. I remember it from draft or something. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. And you can put 2/1 counts on it. That might be something that we can try. I don't want to put too much of a new thing that I don't know will really work. But we can try this one. And then I think we can try Vorinclex as well, because it is a sort of ramp. It's expensive, of course, 5 for 2 force cards. But it will also put +1 counters on your creatures. And eventually you can sort of board wipe by fighting all of the creatures from your opponents. So I think we can try that as well. I think, by the way, we can still add the cards, but I will have to double this one once we have the maybe board filled. Let's do that. And then I don't really want to add more from this. Maybe we don't have the rules I usually have, like 10 removal. We only added 3, I think. But that's okay. Sometimes you don't follow the rules. Maybe if fighting works, we can do that. For drawing, I wanted to look at small creatures first that draw you cards, because I think there are more that I don't really have in here. Like Fairy Mastermind, I think can be very good. I keep doing download because that is what I use, what I do for my videos. Fairy Mastermind is one, but still isn't really immediately drawing you cards, so might be an upgrade still. But not really. Maybe Mold Drifter can be. For 3 mana you draw 2 cards and get a 2/2 for a bit. And that of course doesn't really get you the 2/2, but it does work with Ezuri. So we'll add Mold Drifter. And then I think, maybe one more from this, and then a few that just are good card draw things. Artifacts we don't really do. Looting isn't really it. I've heard a lot about this guy. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell. Oh, of course, because we can add power to the Polywalk. That can be very good. So let's do that as well. But again, not really immediate card draw. So we will look a bit at that. Just draw and then for all the cards. Does this work? Yeah. So I think what we want to look for is something that draws you at least 2 cards, so that it will be card advantage. And to be as cheap as possible. I want to go sort of under 4 mana, I think, for immediate card draw. Pull from Tomorrow might be a thing, if we are ramping a bunch. I don't want the big draw, because I have a bunch of big draw already in there. So I want to look for cards like Tesserat's Gambit, which you can pay sort of for 3 mana and playing 2 life. Drawing 2 cards then proliferating. I think I like that one. And then I want one more of those. Yep. There are more, I think. Like Stock Up. Isn't that one that does draw you 2? Sort of. But it probably isn't there. Stock Up. Stock Up does put 2 cards. Yeah, kind of. That's nice. I like that. Stock Up is really good, I think. It isn't instant speed, but our deck usually isn't too instant speed yet, so that's fine. Then I want to look at Ezuri replacements. We had a few, like with Simone, and I think Ouroboros is a good one. But kind of want to make Master Biomancer unnecessary. So I've looked at a few things. I've looked at things that say number of additional +1 counters, like Master Biomancer, but that just adds R1, and R1 is kind of the same as Master Biomancer. So I don't really want to add that if I have the choice, but we do need to add something. For each +1 counter could be something that works with +1 counters, but I really don't think I saw too much. Let's put it on EDH rank. Mycoloth can be something, by the way, because it adds a 1/1 for each +1 counter at the beginning of your upkeep. So you just need to strengthen the Mycoloth, and then when Mycol is strong enough, it can be strong on its own. And then once you have Ezuri back, it will be strong together, of course. I'm not really sure here. Maybe Toothy can be good, because it can draw you cards eventually for every +1 counter on it. But that's just drawing a bunch of cards again. So that is not what we wanted. It feels good. It might be an upgrade to a card, but it's not strategically what we are looking for. So just put Mycoloth in. Sort of works. And maybe then put X +1 counters on. Might be something. So I made the search for that too, and then sort by EDH rank. Oh yeah, I think Proft's Eidetic Memory is good, because in my experience I draw a bunch of cards while playing Ezuri. And this works because it says at the beginning of combat, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, you put X +1 counter on the creature, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn -1. So it's at least something we can already do before Ezuri enters. That's not the case with Mycol. And not the case with Simone either, because it's 4 mana. And the other one's 5 mana. Railway Brawler has sort of the same mistake of putting +1 counters on something when it enters the battlefield. So that doesn't really work, I think. This could put X +1 counters on 2 target creatures. So it is good, but I think because it is one of those dragons, it will be more expensive. But we can still think about it at least. Maybe sometimes you find like a steal somewhere and you can still put it in. Actually, yeah, well, I'll talk about it later. Put X +1 counters on target creature when it enters. And at the beginning of your end step, draw 2 cards if you control the strongest creature. This card draw again for 5 mana doesn't really work. When a creature dies, put the counters on something else. That works against removal, but not against board wipes, which is one of the strongest weaknesses of this deck. Instant sorcery is not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that can go onto the battlefield earlier, like this, but then we'll put more +1 counters, like in a repeated way, on other creatures, so that you can sort of time it better with Ezuri. Of course, you could play turn 3 Jugon and then put a +1 counter on 2 creatures, putting one on Ezuri maybe, and then wait, this might work. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may pay X and put X +1 counters on it. If you have 5 or more modified creatures, the remnant becomes stronger and gains trample. We don't really care about that, but it could help you choose to put more +1 counters on a creature. Sort of maybe has the same problem. I'm not really sure how that works. I should do more research before doing stuff like this. Manifesting Dread X times and then put X +1 counters on each of those creatures. Sort of works, but again, doesn't really make the entering of the creature good. Growth counter, double the number of growth counters on Paradox Zone, then create a 0/0 with X +1 counters. Okay, that's funny. Making a big creature every time. We can think about it. Maybe it's fun. Doesn't seem too strong and doesn't seem like what we're looking for, but does seem fun. So we'll take it in because we have a bunch of proliferate in the deck too, maybe, and we are starting to make more of it. We're slowly turning it into the new Ezuri commander. Big creature, just a big creature. This one is new, I think. Put X+1 counts on Sita. Meh. It's just meh. What if we look at for newer cards? Ouroboros we've added. Sita we've just looked at. Many of these we've just looked at. So there isn't really much new stuff for +1 counts. Maybe if we remove the put X and just look at +1 counters. And then maybe look at rarity is... Or it's more than rare. Does it work? Yeah. Avatar. I'm not sure if I want to put Avatar or Spider-Man cards in my deck. Terra Symbiosis. Whenever you put 1 or more +1 counts on a creature, you may draw that many cards. We put a bunch of +1 counts on a creature. So that is good draw. It is, again, not what we want strategically, but I think this will be a big upgrade. But again, not what we were looking for. Is there, help me out, is there something you would say works better? Let me know in the comments and we can sort of build this together. I'm not really finding it yet, so maybe I'm not looking very well, but let me know. And it might be fun to do another one of these videos looking through your comments if there are enough. So let me know. Yeah. All right, we will look at the next thing we need. We need more, I think, unblockable things that make big creatures unblockable. I want Whisper Silk Cloak, definitely. So we'll put that in the maybe board. I want... Let's see, what do I want? We are not really working with legendary creatures, so that doesn't really work. An enchantment. I think equipments are better here because we need them to stick around if at all possible. Maybe Manifold Key, sort of. Maybe like the Broke's Passage. Because it is a land, so it's pretty easy to put in there. And we are 2 colors, so we kind of can get away with that. So I kind of like that, actually. Herald of Secret Streams, do we not have that? Yeah, we have that. It's really good. It will make any creature, basically, that we strengthen unblockable. Making this creature unblockable, not really what we're looking for. Small creatures, also not really. Thassa? I think we have that somewhere. But okay, I think this should work because for 2 mana you can then make a creature unblockable. It's kind of our new type of finisher, I think is what we're looking for here. Because often I have a creature with 30 power and then I can't win because my opponent has blockers. So that's basically what I was looking for. So that's good. Good that this one is a little bit quicker too. And then I want some more protection for Ezuri. So I think we have, let's see, protection. We have Heroic Intervention, yeah, that's of course a good one. Swiftfoot Boots, I think we have. We don't have the other one. Oh, it works with Shroud, of course. Yeah, so Shroud is also one. Shroud. Yeah, Lightning Reefs, that's perfect. Are there more things we want? Maybe here. Attach it to a creature, gain Shroud, can't be blocked, equip 3. And there's no non-Fallout version for me. Okay. The thing is, I don't mind putting in things that are from Universes Beyond really, but personally, I want them to look a little bit more like fantasy. So I think it's fine like for me to put in Lord of the Rings, but I don't like to put in Fallout. Get what I mean? This could be, I know you could say this could be in many of the newer Magic sets, but it doesn't feel good to me. Let's keep it at that, because it can be a very long discussion. Lightning Greaves, I think, should be in there. So we'll look for that. And then let's look on with Hexproof. I wanted to put in more stuff or try something like a Tameo Safekeeping, which is a 1 mana spell that works just once. Maybe it is worth it to wait one more turn with Ezuri once we get enough things to do around Ezuri, so that we can keep Tameo Safekeeping up and then protect Ezuri that way, perhaps. But I don't want to try too many at once, maybe 1 or 2. Like maybe a Snakeskin Veil could be cool. Or... Yeah, I think Snakeskin Veil will be good. Is it not? Okay. And then maybe 1 or 2 more. Maybe this. Of course, Ezuri is legendary, so we kind of could go with it. But I also want to be able to use it on other creatures. I want to, but maybe if it is not there, an equipment like that, we should go with something else. Yeah. All right. Let's try out the. Wait. Didn't we see before something else that worked just with? I forget it. Maybe there's more with Indestructible. I have it here too. So that could also work. Inspiring Call we have, but again, it only works sometimes. Hammer of Nazan, I think, really wants to work with Nazan himself, who can search for it or something. Darksteel Plate, giving something indestructible for just 2 sort of works. Okay, I think I will try Mithril Coat again. Lord of the Rings I would add, even though it's Universe Beyond, because this feels like a fantasy card still, right? It's Chainmail, it's a good work. Personally, I do sort of add things like what's the set called? New Capenna, which of course is new stuff too, but yeah, I don't like it if it's New Capenna and Universe Beyond. Is that maybe it shouldn't work that way? Maybe you disagree, you could let me know, but no need, it's just my opinion. So that, and then Protection could be something I thought about before, but I don't really think there's too much here that we can use for that. Maybe this one, because it gives giving protection from each color also means that your creatures cannot be blocked by creatures with colors, but also can protect against colored removal. So it's again something for 1 mana that could protect your commander, or for 5 mana that could help you get in. So I kind of like this one, or would like to try it. Like that. And then Phasing Out. We saw it before with sort of board wipe. I think I want to try one smaller instant for that. Or maybe, is this really expensive? Doesn't even need to be. Because the fairy, if I remember correctly, works at flash speed on your opponent's turns too. Let's see. You may, yeah, like an instant and on your opponent's turn. And then you can make target creature you don't control phase out. That doesn't really work. Okay, but then I still want to try out Slip Out the Back. Because maybe Phasing Out is good and maybe it is bad. So those were the cards I wanted to add. I think for adding the cards, I have 34 right now. I could do that, but let me know if you want to see it. And maybe I will do that in a future one, because then I can also order the cards and I think I can give you a greater example of what it looks like when I have ordered the cards, because probably I won't be ordering a Cyclonoglyph for this deck. It's not really that right now. I think average cost, well, it costs $102, the whole deck right now. So adding 32 to it is a little bit overboard and will sort of destroy the more casual nature of the deck. But like cards that are maybe $5 are fine and will sort of upgrade the deck without changing its nature. So that was it for this video, I think. Let me know if I missed any of the cards. I would like to fill out the maybe board even more. That's the way I usually upgrade decks. But if you do not and enjoyed the video, I still want to thank you for watching. And with that, I wish you a very nice day. Bye.